On January 16th, the nation celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Murray State also commemorated the slain civil rights leader by hosting a week of special events that focus on Dr. King's legacy. We are here with S.G. Carthell, the Director of the Multicultural Affairs at Murray State University. Thanks for being on the show.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Now, you know a lot about Martin Luther King Day. Talk about what kind of programs and events we do here at Murray State for Martin Luther King Day.
Well, at Murray State, we do a couple of things. One, we do of course, we call it a day of service now. And we have a breakfast that is sponsored by Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and that's been a staple program in the morning that kind of kicks things off. And then from there, we go to our keynote speaker, if you will. It used to be called kind of like a community service, and the keynote speaker, and that person comes in every year and kind of helps to frame the day of service and frame who Dr. Martin Luther King was, and kind of get us excited about, you know, reignited about this whole issue of service, multiculturalism, all these things. And then we have a unique component where we have the actual day of service, where various organizations, people from the community all come together and spend the day doing community service and giving back to the community. When the Martin Luther King Day was originated, that was the intent, was that people wouldn't just take another day off, that they would give back in some way. And so that has been the kind of the way we've done the program in the last few years.
And talk a little bit about the march that you all have.
Well, we don't do the march anymore. Okay. We used to do the march. Every year there used to be a march, and they'd march around the city. After the community service, there'd be a big community march. And what we did last year, we decided to begin to march to service. So we kind of have a march from the Curris Center to the gates where they have the MSU back by Pogue Library. So we kind of march from there to there. And so that's kind of the extent of the march that we've done in the past. And then we kind of modify that depending on how we're going to do the service. However, we kind of march to service now as opposed to the historical march that they've done in the past.
Now, how's the participation on this day?
Well, it's been pretty good. I mean, we usually have, when we had just the community service, we usually have pretty good participation from the community and students and faculty and staff. Particularly in years past, particularly last year, we had a great turnout from student orgs and students and folks in the community to do the service. So it was just amazing. So we're hoping that every year it'll be that way.
And do y'all have any plans to get more people involved in it as the years go by?
Well, yes, we work with the city. I'm also part of the Human Rights Commission here at the city, and so we partner with the city and the county, and trying to get the word out and letting folks know that it's not just a Murray State event, but it's a community event. So we continue to do that. The day of service activities are what I think help get the community involved, because they go out into the community and do this service. And so it's very visible, people see them, and I think it provides that involvement.
Now, obviously community service, not just taking a day off from work, but what is the message that you hope people leave with after either participating in your all's events or just in general that day?
Well, I think that, we have all kinds of mottos, statements, things we remember. We remember Dr. Martin Luther King and how he talked about people being judged by their character, not by the color of their skin. We talk about it takes a village to raise a child, all these things. I think the whole sense of community, and that we're in a community together and we should all work together, and that is what Dr. King stood for, is that the humanity of it all, that we were all a part of the human race and that we should all be supportive of each other.
Now, do you know of any students that have gone on to do anything with community service or anything that maybe Martin Luther King Day in the past has really sparked them to do something?
Yes, we've had a number of students, particularly a young lady named Nicole DeFries. She's a Murray State alum, and she worked with I think it was the Special Olympics, like for the state of Kentucky, and she started doing it as service, volunteerism, and then now she coordinates a whole set of games for the entire state. And part of that, I would like to think, was because of her participation in MLK, and before we were doing the day of service, she had ideas of how we could expand that program. And so when alums like that go on and they do it as service and end up being like their job now to bring people together and do that, I think that's really outstanding.
Well, it's a great thing you all do, and it's great to see the community come together and the students at Murray State come together for Martin Luther King.
Yeah, it's great. We hope to continue it every year.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thanks.